Well, as some of you know, I've sold my airplane known as Bushwhacker, an experimental mall that I built in 2004. To replace that airplane, I have started a new project, an experimental Super Cub, a 4-place Super Cub. And so if you want to follow along with that build, there will be new episodes coming out, well, maybe not weekly, but as I progress. Well, on the spur of the moment, I decided to head for the John Day River today. Little more snow than I had expected to see here. This is here at Hood River. I was getting fuel. There's patches of ice on the ground that are so slippery that you can't stand up. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and get my fuel and keep going towards John Day, but I think the snow might be just a little on the deep side. Couple of Chinooks here at the Dalles. Pretty cool. I don't know how long I've been cooped up in the house, but I think it's been a couple weeks since I've flown. We got quite a bit of snow, and with the snow on the ground, I could take off from my strip, but I wouldn't be able to come back home because it's just too short to land with snow on it. So I felt a little stir crazy, and I decided to take this day and really get out and enjoy this beautiful weather over in the John Day River Canyon. I invited a friend of mine, Doug Keller, to join me, and so he met me over here. This was the first place we landed. For some reason, the video I took of him landing didn't turn out, so I just have his 2 drag bys as he's checking it out. Doug bought this Cub and restored it a few years ago. It's pretty much equipped like my experimental. I would say they're probably almost identical. I think his is a little bit heavier than mine, but we both have pretty much the same options as what you'd want on a Super Cub for playing around off airport. Probably the main difference between Doug's airplane and my airplane is his is a certified PA-18 and mine's built in the experimental category. Doug tells me to take it easy on him. He hasn't been doing any off-airport flying in, he said, close to a year. So we go and we take a look at some hilltops. The first hilltop that I'm looking at is one that I've actually wanted to land, but the particular day that I was looking at it, it just wasn't going to work out. This particular day, the winds were much more favorable, and because there was another knob down below that was one that I'd landed before, I figured we'd land it first and do a little hiking. So we hiked up to the upper knob and took a look at it, and then we got in our airplanes and drove up there and landed it, got out the drone, had lunch. What a spectacular day it was. Winds were almost non-existent, and it just doesn't get much better than this. I had not been back to this spot in probably close to 10 years. A friend of mine had had almost what I would call a fatal accident. He didn't die, but it's almost shocking that he didn't. He hit the tree there that Doug was just passing by on takeoff and ended up nosing in on that 45-degree slope. It was not a good day. This is the spot that is in the picture on my banner on my Mall Guy YouTube channel. Doug and I actually hiked down to the place that the airplane came to rest after his accident. I found a bunch of VGs and actually a fuel cap in very good condition, which made the hike worth it because I think the fuel cap's worth about $200. We took off from this spot and climbed up to the upper knob that we had also hiked up to. And I shut down and Doug gave me time to get the drone out, and I did a little filming of him landing it. This upper knob that we're landing, it sets at about 2,600 feet MSL. It's 250 to 260 feet long from where you can touch down to where you can basically turn around. So, for a Super Cub, it's no problem. And you're actually landing a little bit uphill. There's no big rocks on it. It's obviously got a clean approach in, no obstacles. So if you did botch it, if you didn't get your tires down on it exactly where you wanted, or things weren't going right, this is not a one-way. You don't have to be 100% committed. Even if you were halfway down it, you could put the gas to it and you'd be flying off the end. Even if you were 3/4 of the way down it and almost stopped, you could put the gas to it and just dive off the end. So you always have to think about whether, it's a one-way or you've got options. And this one, yeah, it's up high. If you went off the edge, it'd be a bad thing. But there's really no issues with landing it. There's no big rocks. It's a nice smooth surface. And it's just a cool place to land and safe. There's not too many people that I call up anymore and say, let's go flying. I just don't feel comfortable taking people along with me and then putting them in places that I would consider, life or death if you make a mistake. Doug is one of those guys that I know will make good decisions. And so having him along is an asset. What a great place to have lunch and share an afternoon with a buddy and get rid of some of those winter blues that I was feeling. Now I'll have the energy to go back to work on that 4-place Super Cub that's staring me in the eyes every day. As you know, I'm not monetized, and the only way I get any revenue from this is if you go to my website and maybe purchase a hat or a t-shirt. So this is a plug for my website, bigrockslongprops.com. There's the original logo that you can have on a hat or a t-shirt or a sweatshirt, and if you want to support me in that way, it'd be much appreciated. I'm headed downriver here. This is just right at the Horseshoe Bend before coming into the Chucker Flats airstrip. And I'm going to land a gravel bar out front touch my wheels down and land on that gravel bar in the smoothest spot I can find. The rocks are pretty big on this gravel bar, and I pretty much hate throwing big rocks into my tail feathers, so I always look for the smooth spots on gravel bars. Today, when I left, the winds were coming out of the east, and my ground speeds were probably anywhere from 60 to 80 miles an hour. And so I'm expecting a quicker drive going home. I'm treated to speeds of somewhere between 90 and 130 miles an hour, which is nice. 130 miles an hour in a Cub is pretty spectacular over the ground. It's funny, I leave my home strip and go looking for maybe new and challenging places to land. And although I did find one very challenging spot in the John Day River, I didn't have my camera on when I was dragging my tires across it, but it was one of those little plateaus that was just perfect for landing. Unfortunately, there wasn't a clean spot on it that didn't have, 150 feet of smooth area. It was big rocks, smooth, big rocks, smooth, big rocks, smooth, and I just couldn't find a spot to put my tires down where I felt safe enough to do it. Anyway, coming home, the winds were pretty strong, and you can hear me using lots of different power modulations to get myself into this strip of mine safely. Well, thanks for riding along. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. Time for me to get back to work.